Dawn spills gold over the desert, softening the night's sharp edges. In Samarkand, a city of turquoise domes and cinnamon-scented alleys, the merchant stirs. His eyes, flecked with dust from Khotan's jade mines, scan the horizon. Today, like every day, the road whispers, and the city answers. Samarkand pulses with life as traders from faraway regions spill into its streets, their stalls brimming with goods and ideas carried over mountain passes and endless sands. In the cool silence of dawn, the merchant steps from his modest dwelling. The air hums with the scent of burning incense and freshly baked flatbread. Nearby, voices murmur, footsteps clatter on cobblestones, and ancient stones hum with the memory of 1,000 journeys. The Silk Road is awake. He tends not just to silk and spices, but to the stories they carry. In his caravan, saffron from Kerala's monsoon-soaked hills, its threads still damp with memory, silk spun by Luoyang weavers who sing to their looms, and a ceramic bowl, its cracks tracing the Uyghur potter's trembling hands. Each piece hums with the road's quiet song. The spices, imported from the lush lands of India, evoke memories of exotic flavors and healing properties that have enchanted local apothecaries for generations. Even the precious metals and delicate ceramics he carries come from distant empires whose influence extends across continents. Our merchant travels a route that has endured the tests of time. He has witnessed caravans cross the formidable Pamir Mountains and traverse the vast steppes where nomadic tribes guard ancient secrets. His path is but one thread in the Silk Road's ancient tapestry, a web of dust and dreams where Arabic numerals dance beside Han coinage, and Persian poetry murmurs to Tibetan prayer flags. Here, even the wind carries fragments of forgotten tongues. The bustling bazaar of Samarkand comes to life as the sun climbs higher in the sky. Stalls brimming with fruits, textiles, and pottery form a mosaic of colors and sounds. The merchant finds himself immersed in a lively dialogue with fellow traders, local artisans, and scholars who gather to share news and insights. In the midst of animated discussions and the clinking of coins, he reflects on his journey. Each step along the Silk Road brings encounters that enrich his understanding of the world and reveal the subtle interplay between commerce and culture. In this vibrant marketplace, the merchant is both an observer and a participant. He listens with rapt attention as a storyteller recounts legends of ancient empires and great conquests. He admires the calligraphy on a parchment that details the principles of astronomy and mathematics passed down from the scholars of Baghdad. He even pauses to exchange a few words with a local healer who explains the medicinal virtues of herbs that grow wild in the desert. Every conversation, every shared smile, adds a new layer to his narrative, deepening his connection to the timeless pulse of the Silk Road. The path ahead is a mosaic of sun-scorched sands and jagged passes, where the wind carries echoes of camel bells from caravans long vanished. The merchant's steps are measured, his gaze lingering on the horizon where the dunes ripple like a mirage. He thinks of the Uyghur potter's hands shaping clay under a Kashgar moon, of the Roman denarius traded for Khotan jade, each exchange a silent pact between strangers. The road does not promise safety, but it breathes with the stories of those who walked it before him, their whispers woven into his resolve. By midday, the caravan winds through a valley where apricot blossoms dust the trail like snow. The merchant's camel, its fur matted with pollen, pauses to nuzzle a weathered pillar, all that remains of a Sogdian temple. He runs a hand over the stone, its carvings blurred by centuries of wind, and imagines the incense that once curled toward heaven here. Further on, a crumbling aqueduct cuts across the desert, its arches skeletal against the sky, a testament to engineers whose names the sand has long since claimed. In Bukhara's shadowed arcades, a spice trader presses a clove into the merchant's palm, its aroma sharp as the man's laughter. "From Zanzibar," he says, though his eyes glint with Samarkand's mischief. The merchant counters with a sliver of jade from Khotan, smooth as river moonlight. Their hands meet, bronze coins warm from pockets and palms, each bearing the face of a forgotten king. Nearby, a scribe scratches prices onto mulberry paper, his ink mingling Persian glyphs with Tang dynasty numerals, a silent alchemy of east and west. At noon, the desert sun bleaches the sky to bone white. The merchant pauses in the shade of his caravan, unfurling a weathered rug patterned with indigo vines, a gift from a dyer in Isfahan. His fingertips trace the embroidery along its edge, motifs of desert blooms and caravan trails stitched by a blind artisan in Merv. He sits in silence, the heat pressing down like a weight, and thinks of his father's stories of sandstorms survived and oases found. Around him, travelers rest. A spice trader sketching roots in the sand, an elder turning a wooden spindle with hands stained by saffron. The road does not demand sameness, only resilience. By afternoon, the caravan reaches an oasis where date palms sway like drowsy sentinels. The merchant watches a farmer guide water through clay channels, a technique learned from a Nubian traveler decades ago. Beside him, a girl weaves reeds into baskets, her fingers swift as sparrows. She offers him one, its pattern echoing the vines on his Uyghur bowl. He trades her a sliver of lapis lazuli, its blue deeper than the twilight sky. For a moment, the desert's bite fades, replaced by the murmur of springs and the rustle of pomegranate leaves. Here, life persists, stubborn and tender, a counterpoint to the sand's indifference. As dusk stains the sky amber and violet, the merchant gathers with others around a fire. A Sogdian storyteller recounts how her grandmother outwitted bandits, using nothing but a mirror and the moon's reflection. A Tibetan horseman sings of snow leopards that guard mountain passes. The merchant listens, then opens his journal. He writes of the farmer's water channels, the girl's reed basket, and the weight of the lapis lazuli in his palm. His brush lingers on the word khotan, its characters blurred by a drop of spiced syrup. The journal, like the road, holds no grand proclamations, only fragments of lives briefly intertwined. In the fading light, the merchant gazes upward, where stars begin to emerge one by one. These ancient lights serve as reminders of the countless travelers who have embarked on similar journeys before him. The vast expanse of the night sky inspires him to look forward to tomorrow, to the endless possibilities that lie ahead on the storied paths of the Silk Road. He contemplates the delicate balance between risk and reward, between the fragility of human endeavor and the unyielding force of destiny. This day, like many before it, is a chapter in a larger narrative that spans centuries and continents. The merchant's journey is a living chronicle of a world where trade, culture, and faith converge to create a legacy that endures through time. His footsteps on the ancient routes are part of a greater saga of human connection, a story in which every interaction adds a new verse to the epic ballad of the Silk Road. As the fire crackles softly and the desert night deepens, our merchant embraces the silence of the world around him. In that quiet solitude, he finds the strength to continue his voyage, confident that every mile traveled brings him closer to a future shaped by the timeless spirit of exploration and the unbreakable bonds of shared humanity. His journey is far from over, and with every sunrise there comes a renewed promise of discovery and the unyielding march of history along the Great Silk Road. Dawn arrives as a pale blush on the horizon. The merchant rises, his breath visible in the air, and steps into the stillness. The campfire, reduced to embers, still cradles the scent of juniper smoke and the faint sweetness of dried sage from his pouch. He kneels to rebuild it, coaxing flames from kindling with hands roughened by years of silk unspooling and coin counting. Nearby, a camel shifts, her bell chiming softly, a sound as familiar as his own heartbeat. The desert stretches before him, its sands etched with the faint tracks of foxes and forgotten caravans. He scans the dunes, their contours softened by dawn's light, and breathes in the crisp air. In his palm, he turns a Roman coin, its edges worn smooth by 1,000 hands. A trader from Antioch had pressed it into his grip years ago, claiming it held the luck of Mercury. He tucks it back into his sash, its weight a silent companion, and turns to the fire. The flames rise, their dance mirrored in the polished curve of his Uyghur bowl, now filled with mint tea. His gaze shifts to the caravan, the silk, wrapped in hemp cloth dyed with mulberry ink, glows faintly in the morning light. He unrolls a corner, revealing threads spun so finely they seem to hold the mist of the Yellow River. Beside it, a cedar chest cradles saffron from Kashmir, each stigma a fragile tongue of flame. His fingers brush the lid of a ceramic jar. Its glaze crackled like the desert floor after rain. These are not mere goods. They are fragments of landscapes he has crossed. Held still for a moment in his care, he opens his ledger, its pages brittle as autumn leaves, and records the previous day's trades. A sliver of jade for a bolt of Samarkand wool. 3 silver dirhams for a vial of rose attar, its fragrance clinging to the parchment. His brush hesitates over an entry, a ceramic bowl, traded years ago to a Uyghur potter's daughter for a song she swore held the voice of the Tian Shan mountains. He smiles faintly. The road's economy is not measured in coin alone, but in the weight of stories exchanged. He breaks his fast with flatbread drizzled in honey from a Kashgar oasis, its golden threads clinging to his fingers like liquid sunlight. The sweetness mingles with the bitter tang of mint tea steeped in his Uyghur bowl. Nearby, a Tajik shepherd shares a handful of dried apricots, their wrinkled skins still holding the warmth of Samarkand's orchards. The merchant savors each bite. The flavor is a quiet reminder of oases past and those yet to come. Around him, the caravan stirs. A donkey brays, a child giggles, and the camel's bells chime in drowsy unison. After the meal, he tucks the Uyghur bowl into a hemp sack lined with Khotan jade shards to cushion its journey. His satchel, patched with leather from a Bukhara tanner, holds mulberry paper contracts and a vial of ink thickened with pine resin. He pauses to watch sunlight spill through a tear in the caravan's canvas, casting lace-like shadows over the Roman coin nestled in his ledger. Today, like all days, is a tapestry of ritual and chance, woven with threads worn smooth by time. He walks the caravan's perimeter, his palm brushing the sun-warmed hide of his eldest camel, Mara. Her fur still carries the scent of apricot blossoms from yesterday's valley. He tightens a frayed strap on her harness, its leather softened by years of friction and desert winds. Mara nuzzles his shoulder, her breath warm and rhythmic as a prayer. Nearby, a donkey nibbles at a thorn bush, its ears flicking toward the distant cry of a desert hawk. The merchant smiles. These creatures know the road's language better than he ever will. In the communal shade of a caravanserai arch, traders gather. A grizzled spice merchant from Aleppo unfurls a map scribbled with routes avoiding bandit-haunted passes. A young potter from Turfan demonstrates how to mend a crack with lacquer and gold dust, her hands steady as she whispers, "Kintsugi, the beauty of broken things." The merchant listens, his fingers absently tracing the Uyghur bowl's repaired rim. He adds a note to his ledger, "Trade jade for lacquer at Turfan." The road's demands are endless, but so too are its gifts. Within this dynamic environment, our merchant engages in measured conversation with trusted colleagues. He negotiates the terms of future exchanges with a calm and respectful manner, his voice steady and firm. He listens to the opinions of others, absorbing details about changes in local economies and political influences that may affect the flow of trade. Every conversation is a lesson, every exchange a moment of cultural fusion that reinforces his understanding of a world interconnected by commerce and shared human experience. While the hours pass, the merchant returns to his own space to attend to the meticulous tasks that keep his business thriving. He carefully unpacks bundles of silk, running his fingers over the fine fabric to check for any imperfections that might affect their value. He sorts through precious spices, their aromas mingling to create an exotic bouquet that fills the small chamber. He consults handwritten ledgers, their pages yellowed by time, to record each transaction with scrupulous attention to detail. This work is not simply an administrative chore. It is a vital part of the merchant's daily ritual that connects him to the legacy of those who have traveled the Silk Road before him. The pace of the day follows the steady rhythm of work. In the midst of this activity, the merchant takes short breaks to appreciate the sensory richness of his surroundings. The tactile feel of coarse woolen garments, the gentle whisper of a parchment scroll as it is unfurled, and the harmonious blend of distant voices create a soundscape that is both vibrant and soothing. He savors these moments of calm, knowing that they are the foundation upon which his success is built. They are reminders of the beauty found in even the most ordinary details of life on the road. Beyond his immediate work, the merchant takes the time to nurture relationships that extend beyond the marketplace. He greets a local craftsman whose hands are stained with the pigments of freshly carved wood. Their conversation flows naturally as they discuss the techniques used to shape objects that will one day become treasured artifacts. In another corner of the bustling encampment, he converses with a scholar who has come to exchange knowledge about astronomy and navigation, subjects that are essential to charting a safe course across the desert. These interactions serve to strengthen the network of trust and cooperation that has allowed trade to flourish along the ancient routes. As midday approaches, the heat intensifies, and the merchant seeks refuge beneath a shade provided by a large, weathered awning. Here, he sits with his associates and shares a light meal prepared from dried fruits, nuts, and flatbread. The communal meal is a time for reflection and the exchange of ideas. The conversation turns to recent discoveries, to the news of distant empires, and to the subtle changes in local customs that signal the passage of time. The merchant listens with an open mind, recording mental notes of the shifts in sentiment and practice that may one day influence his own trade. The afternoon is reserved for more personal tasks. The merchant retreats to a quieter part of the caravan to update his travel journal. His writing is careful and deliberate, each word chosen to capture the essence of the day's experiences. He records the details of negotiations, the descriptions of exotic goods, and the fleeting impressions of the people he has met. This journal is not merely a record of transactions. It is a chronicle of a life lived in the pursuit of connection and understanding. His words serve as both an account of the present and a legacy for future generations who may seek to understand the intricacies of life along the Silk Road. With his journal closed, the merchant turns to his wares. He unwraps the silk, its threads shimmering like dawn mist over the Yangtze, and smooths a crease with hands calloused yet gentle. The saffron, nestled in linen pouches, releases a whisper of Kashmir's monsoon when he lifts a bundle to his nose. A ceramic jar, its glaze a lattice of desert cracks, sits beside the Uyghur bowl, two fractured companions cradling stories of resilience. These treasures, meticulously ordered, are his silent pact with the road's chaos, a fleeting harmony in the desert's vast indifference. At dusk, the caravan halts at a well-worn smooth by generations of hands. The merchant lowers a bucket, its rope frayed but sturdy, and listens to the water's hollow echo as it strikes the depths. A Tibetan trader offers him a ladle carved from juniper wood, its scent sharp and resinous. They drink in silence, the water cold and faintly metallic, like the taste of starlight. Around them, voices rise and fall. A Sogdian joke, a Uyghur lullaby, the clink of a Roman coin dropped into the basin as an offering. Here, the road's burdens dissolve, if only for a moment, into the shared currency of thirst. As twilight deepens, the merchant retreats to his tent. The fading light paints the canvas walls in hues of lavender and ash. He cleans his brushes, their bristles stained with ink and spiced syrup, and wraps them in silk scraps saved from a weaver's discard pile. The Uyghur bowl, now empty, sits beside his bedroll, its cracks gilded faintly by firelight. These rituals are not chores but incantations, small spells to ward off the road's uncertainty. Outside, the camels sigh, their breath sinking with the wind's slow exhalation. He steps outside one last time. The sky, now a tapestry of indigo and charcoal, hums with the drone of cicadas and the soft clatter of a distant cooking pot. A child's laughter floats from a nearby tent, unburdened and bright. The merchant tilts his face to the stars, their patterns familiar as the lines on his palms. Somewhere, a flute plays a melody he once heard in a Kashgar tavern, its notes threading through the night like a caravan of sound. For a heartbeat, he is not a traveler but a stone in the desert's river, worn smooth by time and trust. In this tapestry of routine and interaction, the merchant's day unfolds as a celebration of the simple yet profound elements of existence. Every task, every conversation, and every moment of reflection contributes to the steady beat of life along the Silk Road. Here, in the delicate balance between labor and leisure, between commerce and connection, the true essence of his world is revealed. The rhythm of existence is not merely a series of events, but a living, breathing narrative that binds past, present, and future into a single, continuous journey. The merchant prepares himself for the challenges of the coming night. As he extinguishes the small fire that had provided warmth and light throughout the day, he carries with him the lessons and memories of every interaction, every careful negotiation, and every quiet moment of personal reflection. He knows that each day along the ancient trade routes brings its own unique rewards and trials. In his heart, there is a steadfast belief that through diligent work and genuine connection, he contributes to a larger story that spans the vast distances between cultures and continents. Nightfall wraps the desert in stillness. The merchant sits by the fire, his Uyghur bowl cradling the last sips of mint tea. Across the flames, a Sogdian storyteller recounts a tale older than the dunes, of a caravan swallowed by sand, its bells still ringing beneath the earth. The merchant listens, his fingers absently tracing the crack in his bowl, a flaw repaired with gold-dusted lacquer from Turfan. "They say the desert forgets nothing," the storyteller murmurs. "Then why do we keep walking?" asks a young trader. The merchant smiles. "To give the sand better stories." Around them, the fire pops, scattering embers like stars. Somewhere, a camel sighs, her breath sinking with the wind's low hymn. The road's dangers, bandits, plagues, storms linger in the dark, but tonight they are only shadows. Here, in the circle of firelight, the caravan writes its own legend, one step at a time. At dusk, the caravan halts near a crumbling watchtower. A scrap of parchment clings to its wall, a plea to Tengri for mercy, scrawled by a trader centuries before. The merchant copies the faded script into his journal, the ink pooling like a shadow. Around the fire, an elder recounts how his grandfather survived a plague by trading salt for saffron, turning despair into barter. The merchant listens, his Uyghur bowl warming his palms. He knows the desert spares no one, but tonight, the flames dance gently, and the wind carries only the scent of juniper. Near Samarkand, the caravan passes a field strewn with arrowheads, their edges rusted to ochre. A child runs ahead, plucking one from the earth and holding it aloft like a prize. The merchant trades her a dried apricot for it, the fruit's sweetness lingering as he pockets the relic. Later, he places it beside the Roman coin in his ledger, two fragments of wars forgotten by all but the land. That night, he dreams not of empires, but of the child's laughter, bright and unburdened by history's weight. The merchant's hand drifts to the dagger at his belt, its hilt worn smooth by his father's grip. He thinks of the night a bandit's arrow pierced his tent, embedding itself in a cedar chest of saffron. The spice's heady scent had masked the iron tang of fear that night. Now, he travels with Nader, a guard whose laughter shakes the dunes, and Aisha, a scout who reads the stars like verses. They are his armor, their loyalty forged not in gold, but in shared bread and the quiet understanding that the road shadows are best faced together. Yet it is not only physical dangers that test the merchant. The volatile fluctuations of economic fortunes often mirror the unpredictable nature of the political landscape. In bustling markets of Samarkand or Kashgar, he has seen prices plummet as quickly as they rise. Wars and local conflicts have disrupted supply lines, causing a scarcity of precious commodities such as silk, spices, and ceramics. The financial markets of these ancient cities have felt the tremors of distant political disputes. Traders have been forced to navigate a labyrinth of shifting regulations imposed by local rulers, who, in times of strife, raise taxes and impose quotas to replenish depleted treasuries. In one such instance, historical chronicles tell of King Ghiyas-ud-Din of the Khwarezmian Empire, imposing severe levies on all goods crossing his borders. Such measures, while aimed at shoring up royal coffers, left merchants burdened with heavy costs and the constant risk of punitive repercussions. Amid these adversities, the merchant also reflects on the impact of cultural and religious strife. Along the Silk Road, communities of different faiths and ethnicities have mingled, yet sometimes the very diversity that enriches the trade routes has also sown seeds of discord. The merchant recalls periods of tension where religious differences, often exploited by ambitious rulers, led to episodes of persecution. These conflicts sometimes disrupted local trade, as communities huddled behind fortified walls and wary of outsiders. He hears accounts of city governors, bound by their own interpretations of divine law, ordering the seizure of goods deemed unworthy or forbidden. The memory of such events is a somber reminder that the merchant's livelihood is subject to not only the vagaries of nature and warfare, but also the ideological currents of the time. Every hardship along the Silk Road has been a lesson in resilience and adaptability. The merchant has learned to read the land like a seasoned scholar, interpreting subtle signs in the weather and terrain that hint at impending danger. He is well aware that survival depends on a delicate balance of caution and courage. His experience teaches him that adversity, in its many forms, is an inseparable part of the journey. The merchant respects the ancient wisdom of travelers who have long passed through these routes. They speak of fortuitous encounters with local leaders who extend a hand of protection, of hidden oases where the weary are granted respite, and of the enduring bonds forged between disparate peoples united by a shared quest for prosperity. Historical accounts detail many such moments of salvation and solidarity. During one bitter winter, when the cold gripped the northern steppes and food grew scarce, a caravan led by a wise elder found shelter with a local nomadic tribe. The tribe offered not only sustenance, but also vital information about safe passage through treacherous territory. In another instance, the devastation wrought by conflict between rival states was softened by the intercession of a revered Sufi master, whose hospitality transformed a potential tragedy into a moment of communal healing. These stories, passed on through generations, imbue the merchant with hope and a steadfast determination to endure despite the weight of the times. As the day wanes and the harsh light of the afternoon gives way to a cooler twilight, the merchant finds himself reflecting on the cumulative weight of his journey. Every step along the Silk Road is a testament to the resilience of those who venture forth, risking not only their lives but also the fruits of their labor. The hardships of the route are interwoven with moments of unexpected kindness and the enduring spirit of human connection. The scars of past conflicts and the bitter chill of unforgiving winters are balanced by the warmth of shared meals and the shelter of a welcoming campfire. In his private moments of contemplation beneath a star-strewn sky, the merchant acknowledges that adversity is a constant companion on the Silk Road. It has forged the character of those who travel its paths and shaped the very nature of commerce itself. The hardships he endures are not isolated misfortunes but chapters in a larger historical narrative, one that speaks of the relentless drive of human ambition in the face of nature's fury and the unpredictable tides of fate. Thus, as the night deepens and the merchant prepares for another day of arduous travel, he finds solace in the knowledge that every hardship endured carries with it the seeds of transformation. In the vast tapestry of history, the struggles of a single merchant are woven into the fabric of empires and revolutions, of cultural exchanges, and the birth of new ideas. In this shared struggle, the merchant and his fellow travelers become silent witnesses to the enduring power of the human spirit, a force that, despite overwhelming odds, continues to forge connections, inspire hope, and ultimately shape the destiny of nations. Not far from the market square, the merchant encounters a master craftsman who has embraced new architectural techniques. This skilled artisan has learned to incorporate innovative building methods that combine traditional craftsmanship with novel ideas. The use of curved arches and the refined geometry of vaults lend a sense of stability and elegance to newly constructed caravanserais and warehouses. These improvements are not only practical, but also serve as symbols of cultural refinement that spread along the trade routes. The merchant notes how such structures create more secure resting places for travelers and protect valuable goods from the harsh elements of the desert. At a caravanserai near Bukhara, the merchant watches a scholar weigh saffron threads on a brass scale, etched with numerals from Samarkand and Constantinople. "A dirham's worth," the man declares, adjusting a weight shaped like a crescent moon. The merchant nods, recalling the Tang dynasty abacus he once traded for Persian ink. Nearby, a scribe copies equations onto mulberry paper, his brushstrokes merging Arabic geometry with Han calculations. The merchant breathes in the scent of ink and dried figs, his fingers brushing the Roman coin in his sash, a relic of older trades, now eclipsed by this quiet revolution of numbers. In a shaded courtyard, a calligrapher dips her brush into indigo ink, tracing Arabic numerals onto paper as translucent as moth wings. "From the mulberry groves of Chang'an," she says, offering him a sheet. The merchant holds it to the light, marveling at the faint watermark of a crane, symbol of longevity, borrowed from Han artisans. Nearby, a Persian scribe debates a Tang mathematician over the alignment of stars and trade routes, their voices blending like the ink pooling on the page. The merchant tucks the paper into his ledger, its fibers whispering promises of futures unwritten, where ideas flow as freely as the desert wind. That evening, a scout shares news of a new route through the Pamirs, carved by engineers from Kashgar. "Wider, safer," she says, sketching the path in the sand with a stick. The merchant studies the lines, recalling the crumbling watchtowers of older roads. At dawn, his caravan will follow these fresh tracks. But for now, he sits beneath a caravanserai's newly vaulted roof, its arches cradling the stars. A Tibetan trader offers him salted butter tea, its warmth a silent toast to roads unseen and stories yet to unfold. At a desert outpost, the merchant watches a leatherworker line a camel's saddlebag with felted wool, its fibers dyed crimson with pomegranate rind. "To keep saffron dry," the artisan explains, her hands stained the same shade as the merchant's Uyghur bowl. He runs a finger over the material, its texture recalling the nomad tents of his youth, and trades her a sliver of Khotan jade for a swatch. Nearby, a glassblower demonstrates a clay vessel sealed with beeswax, a trick learned from a Byzantine trader, its honeyed scent mingling with the sharp tang of turmeric. The merchant tucks the vial into his satchel, its contents cradled like a secret, and wonders how many hands will savor its warmth before. In a sunlit workshop, a dyer stirs a vat of indigo, its surface shimmering like the night sky. Beside him, a young apprentice grinds lapis lazuli into powder, its blue dust settling on a ceramic bowl, the same Uyghur design the merchant carries. "Turquoise, from Nishapur," the dyer says, nodding to a shelf of glazed tiles. The merchant lifts one, its surface cool and flawless, and imagines it adorning a Samarkand mosque or a Xi'an palace. Behind him, a potter whispers to a Tibetan trader, their hands tracing the air as if shaping unseen clay. No treaties bind this exchange, only the shared language of craft, a nod, a gesture, the quiet alchemy of curiosity. At dusk, the merchant shares a meal with the artisans. A grizzled spice trader scoffs at the glassblower's wax-sealed vials. "In my day, we used camel fat," while a young weaver defends her saffron-dyed silks as the future of Kashgar's markets. The merchant listens, his Uyghur bowl cradling rice, flavored with cardamom from Kerala. He thinks of the Roman coin in his ledger, its edges worn smooth by centuries of debate. Progress, he realizes, is not a storm but a slow tide, reshaping the shore grain by grain. As firelight flickers over the workshop's tiles, indigo, turquoise, gold, he smiles. The road's true marvels are these quiet collisions of old and new, each spark a star in the desert's endless sky. By the campfire's glow, the merchant opens his ledger, its pages rustling like dried leaves. His brush hovers over an entry about a Turfan glassblower's wax-sealed vials, their honeyed scent still clinging to the paper. Nearby, a young scholar copies star charts onto mulberry sheets, his ink mingling Persian constellations with Han dynasty calculations. The merchant thinks of his father, who once traded salt for Sanskrit scrolls in the shadow of the Himalayas. Knowledge is a caravan, the old man would say. Every generation adds a camel. The fire pops, scattering embers like distant stars, and the merchant adds a new line to his journal. Progress is not a road, but the footprints left upon it. At dawn, the caravan passes a newly built caravanserai. Its arches curve like the ribs of a resting giant. The merchant marvels at the mason's craft, Persian lime mortar binding Khotan stone, and trades the foreman a bolt of Samarkand silk for a shard of polished jade. For luck, the man says, though the merchant knows it will join the Roman coin and Uyghur bowl in his ledger, another fragment in the road's mosaic. Ahead, the dunes stretch endlessly, but the merchant walks lighter, his satchel heavy with stories yet unwritten. The road, he thinks, is not a line between old and new, but a loom weaving both into a tapestry only time can unravel. With renewed determination, the merchant resolves to embrace these changes as he continues his journey. He understands that the path ahead is not fixed, but evolves with every new idea and every innovative step taken by those who dare to imagine a better future. In his heart, he carries the hope that the legacy of the Silk Road will be defined not only by the challenges it has faced, but also by the transformative power of human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. As the stars begin to emerge over the vast expanse of the desert, the merchant closes his eyes and dreams of the future. A future where the boundaries between East and West become ever more fluid, where the exchange of ideas and goods creates a rich tapestry of shared human experience. In that quiet moment, the turning of the wheel of progress feels both inevitable and inspiring, a silent promise that the journey of discovery continues, ever forward, into a world defined by endless possibility. The fire dwindles to embers, their glow fading like the day's heat. The merchant lies back, the Uyghur bowl resting on his chest, its cracks silvered by moonlight. He thinks of the Turfan potter's song, the Kashgar weaver's laughter, the Roman coin's worn edge-seach a thread in the road's vast tapestry. Somewhere, a camel sighs, her breath sinking with the wind's slow exhalation. The desert stretches endless and patient, cradling caravans past and present. The merchant closes his eyes, his fingers brushing the Khotan jade in his sash. Still cool from the night air, he does not dream of empires or endings, but of a child in Samarkand tracing silk patterns in the dust, of a scribe in Baghdad humming a tune from Chang'an, of 1,000 hands passing a single bowl of tea across mountains and time. In this stillness, he is no longer a merchant, but a breath in the desert's ancient rhythmic note in the wind's eternal hymn. The road continues, but here, now, there is only the stars' quiet vigil, the sand's whispered benediction, and the peace of a journey measured not in miles, but in moments